So the session is being recorded. I'll share the recording later on. So let's rename our notebook to variables. Variables in Python. Variables in Python. And variables in Python, basically, these are containers that store data values. And they used to store data values, or you can just refer to them as containers or names that refer to a specific memory locations. So yesterday we created some variables. We had a variable like a storing a sequence of characters, that is a variable a storing hello world, another variable y storing my country is Kenya. So today we're going to discuss what variables are, some rules for naming the variables, or variable naming rules. I will check on some examples, and yeah. So start by the definition and variables. The variables are used to store data values. And yesterday I mentioned if you're not able to cope up with the speed of my typing speed, don't worry, I will share the notebook later. But the most important thing is on the coding part, because we can be able to check where the errors are. So for the statements, you can just maybe just assume them, since I'll be sharing the notebook. So don't be in a hurry to catch up with my typing speed. So, but ensure at least you do some coding here in class. So they are used to store data values. Basically, they act as containers to store data values. So you can have some examples of variables. Let's have some examples before we go to the rules. So examples, have a comment here. Examples of variables. Let's have a variable x storing an integer like 5. A variable meaning that this x may vary. It can be a name of a place, can be a number. So this is just a container. It varies. Can have y to be equals to a string. Can have Kim. Remember yesterday we mentioned that a strings store defining a string. You can create a string using double quotation or single quotation marks. So let's execute this. So when you want to display your variable or call, so we in programming we say calling your variable and want to return it. So you can just write your variable, just calling it. So the value that is stored under x is 5, or you can just print. You can display. Remember yesterday we talked about the print function of being able to display a given statement. So you want to print out a variable. Alternatively, you can print out your values, or you can just call them directly. You can try for y. try for y. Hmm. How we can call y, can print. When you print, you'll notice that uh, your variable y will be printed without the quotation marks. So when you print, you're just displaying this information. So when you call, you're calling a string. So this is the reason as to why we are having the quotation marks. Can check the rules. Rules for variable name. Variable name. So the rules that are guiding us in creating the y and the x or any other variable name. So we're gonna check. So the first one, when you're creating a variable name, it must start with a character or the underscore character. So a variable name, it must start with a character, starting with a character or the underscore. So meaning we have A to Z or the underscore. You can start with the underscore. The next one, that a variable name, it cannot start with a number. So you cannot have a number being is equals to uh, a value. Yeah. So cannot start with a number. A variable name cannot start with a number. So by numbers I mean from 0 up to 9. Then it can be a combination of alphanumeric characters and underscores. So alphanumeric, so you can have a combination of any character from A to Z or 0 to 9. So can contain alphanumeric alphabets and numerical values, alphanumeric characters and underscores. And lastly, keywords cannot be used as variable keywords. So you cannot have, for example, print to be equals to a value. So keywords cannot be used as variables. Be used as variables. Keywords cannot be used as variables. Keywords supposed to be keywords. They're around 30. I mentioned yesterday. You check on some. Around 30. So keywords cannot be used as variable. Yeah. So let's see. So I'll have the the three rules. Yeah. So keywords cannot be used as variables. You cannot have a print or a def keyword being equals to any value. So I've mentioned that a variable name should start with a character, so we can have my var to be equals to a number 10. It can also start with an underscore to be equals to, can have a name. This is just examples of what we've discussed out there. Can be a combination, so we have my underscore var maybe 4 or var 1 var 2, just to show that can contain alphanumeric characters and underscores. We execute this. So supposing you want to create a multi-word variable. So for example, you may be having a data set like a supermarket sales data, and that's a multi-word variable. So you want to have that name. There are several ways in how we create a multi-word variable name, and we have three cases on how you can write them. We have the camel case, the Pascal case, and the snake case. So should you have a multi-word variable, you don't just write them as I've done here. So this one was to show you putting into practice the rules that we've discussed up here. So we have a different cases on how you can write multi-word variables. And I'll start with the first one, which is the camel case. So writing the multi-word variables. Camel case, you have the first one, the camel case. So in the camel case, we usually say the letter in the first word should be in lowercase. Then other words starts with an uppercase. Like we are creating an illusion of a camel. So for example, if you have a multi-word variable name like my variable name, so the first letter in the first word should be in lowercase, so my. Then other words should start with a capital letter. So my variable name, so this one is the camel case. So you can have the name of our city. You can start the name of our city, Nairobi. So this is the camel case. So you don't just write them anyhow. So there are the three cases that are allowed in Python, basically for readability of your codes. So my variable name. We have the next case, which is the Pascal case. The Pascal case. And in the Pascal case, the first word letter starts with upper. All the words, the first word, all the first word letter starts with upper, or they can all start with a lowercase. So all first words letter to be a comment. All first word letters start with uppercase, or all of them starts with lowercase. For example, let's have my variable name to be equals to, let's have another city. And by the way, Python is case sensitive. So for example, we had x to be equals to 5. If we tried and return it as lowercase x, it will run into an error. So Python is case sensitive. When you define something in uppercase, ensure that you call it in uppercase, and vice versa also is true. So Python is case sensitive. So my variable name, we have the other city, Kisumu. Kisumu. The other case, you can start all of them. You start with lowercase. Alternatively, yeah, you can have another city, Mombasa. So that's the Pascal case. So you can choose either all of them to start with uppercase or all of them to start with lowercase. So the last case is the snake case. The snake case. The snake case. So the snake case, you just separate the words. Separate the words using the underscore character. So for example, we have my underscore variable. It doesn't matter the case in which you start your words with. You just separate each word with an underscore. So that's the snake case. And have a name like the nurse. That's the snake case. Any question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Um, did you note that the Pascal case, the first letter in with the capital uppercase, or it can adopt any of the two.
It can adapt any of the two. You can start all the first letter in each word. They may start with either capital or small letters. Yeah, in the Pascal case. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. So the next thing we will discuss on the global and local variables. In a few. after having checked on the different ways we write the variable name, I want us to discuss on how we declare variables in programming. And we have two ways on how you can declare variables. We have the global variables and the local variables. So we'll start with the global variables, how we declare them. This is under variable declaration. So the global variables, these are variables that are created outside a function and can be accessed inside or outside a function. So this is under variable declaration. So we start with what are global variables. We check on the example. Yes, so we have a global variable.
Maureen,
Yes, hello.
hi. I realized I wasn't in the call. Yes, internet ilikuwa imepotea kiasi. Nimekwama kwa Pascal case.
Okay. Pascal case, yes.
Hope utamind kurudia kiasi tu.
Okay, so Pascal case, I mentioned that all the first word letters, they start with an uppercase or they may all start with a lowercase. So we did an example here. For example, you have my variable name, and guys, it can be my city or what else? It can be just a multi-word name. Yeah? So I'm just using my variable name as an example. So you can have my variable name. You can see all the first letters are starting with an uppercase, or they may all start with a lowercase. That's the Pascal case. On the snake case, I mentioned that the cases may be either upper or lower. The difference is now you separate the words. You separate the words using an underscore. So each word is separated using an underscore. So for example, if it was my profession or the profession, so the underscore profession. My city's name, my underscore city underscore name. I hope it's clear.
Yes, now it's clear to me.
Okay. Welcome, Stella. You're a bit ahead, not that far. I'll be sharing the notebook, and also the session is being recorded. Yeah, welcome to our class. Okay, so we were at a variable declaration, and we have two types of variables when we're declaring them in a function. We have the global variables and the local variables. So the global variables, these are variables that are created outside a function and can be accessed inside or outside a function. So I think with an example it will be clear. So let's have the definition. So these are variables that are created. They are created outside, can be outside a function, and they can be accessed inside or outside. Can be accessed inside or outside a function. Inside, outside a function. Yeah? Yeah, for example, how do we use using? So let's start with using a global variable. Global variable. We'll start with inside, then we go to outside. Yeah? So inside a function. Inside the function. So a global variable is created outside the function. So we create a variable outside the function. So remember, our variable stores data value. So our variable A, I want us to store this word awesome. Then the start of a function. So we'll discuss functions later. I just wanted to include the global and the local variable under the variables in Python. So when you want to check the start or anywhere that a function has been used, we have the def keyword. So define my function. So I'll have define my function. So later on we'll discuss functions. So define the function name. So this is the function name. It can be define calculation, define the average salary. So this is just a function name. So define my function. For simplicity, I'll just choose define my function. So the start of a function is it starts with a keyword def. Yeah? Def my function. We terminate it using a full colon. Then we will print our variable A. Then we terminate the function by just calling my function. Let's execute. So we've used a global variable. Global variables are created outside a function and they can be accessed. They can be accessed inside or outside a function. So for this one, we've accessed a global variable inside this function. So the start of our function is def, the end of our function is at this point, my function. So in anything in between here is inside the function. So we've printed, we've displayed our global variable inside the function, or we've used it inside the function. So using it outside a function, so using a global variable outside a function. So allow me to copy this. I'll just copy this code. I will paste it. So outside the function, I've mentioned that anything in between the def and my function is inside the function. So outside the function, I'll just cut this and outside the function now. Outside the function. Indentation error. Terminated, cancel. I think it's on the print. If the print should be expected and indented block. suspecting is on the print, and the print okay. So let me just create an inside variable inside the function, like fantastic. Then let's access this inside. We print our x, then I want to print the a outside the function. This is a point of interest. Let me print it outside the function. Okay, to still serve the same purpose. So I wanted to print the global variable outside the function. So remember I've talked about anything in between the def and my function is inside the function. Anything that will be outside the function, like anything that will be outside the def and the function is outside the function. And we've been able to access our global variable outside the function. Any question? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
So, in the second example,